أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. These are the Ramadan daily Quran studies for the year 2024, written by Zahid Aziz and produced by Ahmadiyya Anjuman Ishaat Islam, Lahore, UK.
Study 8. Justice Towards All 2. Continuing the topic of the last study, the teaching of Islam that Allah treats all human beings, Muslim or non-Muslims, with equal justice must be reflected in the practical dealings of Muslims with others in this world. Otherwise, it remains just an unsubstantiated claim. The principles of Islam in this respect are so excellent that they require Muslims to treat with justice not only ordinary non-Muslims who have done them no harm, but also those who are their deadly and mortal enemies and inveterate foes.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين لله شهداء بالقسط ولا يجرمنكم شنآن قوم على ألا تعدلوا اعدلوا هو أقرب للتقوى واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون.
The Quran says, O you who believe, be upright for Allah, bearers of witness with justice, and do not let hatred of a people incite you not to act equitably. Be just, that is nearer to observance of duty, and keep your duty to Allah. Surely Allah is aware of what you do. 5:8. The word used for equitably and be just in this verse is based on the commonly used word adl, whose meaning is known to all as justice. Unfortunately, in what is regarded as Islamic law, the evidence of a non-Muslim is treated as of lesser weight than the evidence of a Muslim, or indeed of no weight at all. If a Muslim and a non-Muslim give opposite testimony, the word of the Muslim is accepted over the non-Muslim merely on grounds of religion. This is absolutely and plainly contrary to the teachings of the Quran. And in practice, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, when he judged cases between Muslims and non-Muslims, he took no account whatsoever of their religions and gave judgment based purely on facts and evidence. It is obvious that such discrimination is contrary to the principle of this verse. Do not let hatred of a person incite you not to act equitably. The above verse begins by saying that to maintain justice, to bear witness with justice, is a requirement of being upright for Allah. If Muslims do not maintain justice, they are not being upright, nor keeping Allah in mind. The verse then goes on to emphasize the point no less than 3 times. 1. Be just. 2. Remain close to observance of duty. 3. Keep your duty to Allah. The word here for keeping your duty both times is taqwa. That term means, to put it simply, religious behavior. Hence, it is made part of Islamic behavior to do justice to all. As to what is meant by hatred of a people, this is made clear just a few verses earlier in the Quran.
ولا يجرمنكم شنآن قوم أن صدوكم عن المسجد الحرام أن تعتدوا وتعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان واتقوا الله.
And do not let hatred of a people, because they hindered you from the sacred mosque, incite you to transgress, and help one another in righteousness and piety, and do not help one another in sin and aggression, and keep your duty to Allah. 5:2. These were people who had expelled Muslims from their homes in Mecca, persecuted them, and prevented them from performing their religious obligations. They no doubt had hatred for Muslims. Naturally, Muslims may have felt hatred for them in return. Here, Muslims are told in general terms not to be incited by this hatred to transgress, that is, to go beyond the justified limits of retaliation, departing from civilized behavior. The passage 5:8 quoted earlier refers specifically to the doing of justice. What it is to transgress is also explained in the verse itself. It is when, instead of urging each other to adhere to high moral standards, members of a community combine together to commit sins against those from other communities. It happens that an individual on his own might be reluctant to commit some misdeed or act of aggression against someone of a different community. But if such individuals are acting together as part of a group, then they become emboldened to commit the same outrage. Then they feel secure and justified in their actions because other members of their group are doing the same and reinforcing them. This verse requires that a Muslim must never join other Muslims in some wrongful action just because they belong to his community and religion. Instead, he should stand up against his own people's wrongdoing and correct them. This verse gives a Muslim, or a group of Muslims, the right of dissent with the majority. But it is not a destructive and negative dissent, because the words begin by saying that when your co-religionists are doing good works, you must cooperate with them in that task. It is a great tragedy that so many Muslims today violate both aspects of this teaching. Seeing a group in their own community which is engaged in good work, they oppose and obstruct that group and try to make it fail. But seeing groups in their own community which are engaged in wrongdoing, bad behavior, and bringing Islam into disrepute, they condone their actions and find excuses for their misdeeds.
Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Qur'anil Azim wa nafa'na wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim innahu ta'ala jawadun karimun balakun barrur raufur rahim.